Hi everyone, welcome to this showcase of Celare Fortnite External Slotted. Today, I'll be giving you a quick overview of its features and functionality. So let's get started. First, let's take a look at the aimbot tab. This checkbox, called Enabled, acts as the master switch for this tab. When it's turned off, none of the features here will work. You'll find the same enabled checkbox in the other tabs as well, where it serves the same purpose. Here, we have Draw FOV. When enabled, it draws an aimbot FOV circle in the center of the screen, and it is only shown while you are holding an eligible weapon. You can adjust the thickness, outline thickness, fill, and colors to match your preferences. Next, we have Draw Target Line. When enabled, it draws a line from the center of the screen to the current target. Just like the previous feature, it offers the same customization options. Next, we have Prediction. When enabled, it predicts the target's future position based on movement and projectile travel time, making it easier to hit moving targets with sniper rifles. Here is an example in action. Next, we have Hard Lock. When enabled, the aimbot will ignore its FOV restrictions while targeting. Next, we have Visibility Check. When enabled, this feature applies visibility-based filtering before targeting. Next, we have Ignore Knocked. When enabled, this feature makes the aimbot exclude knocked players. Next, we have Hold Key. With this hotkey, the aimbot remains active only while the selected key is held down. Here is an example in action. Next, we have Humanization. When enabled, this feature adjusts the aimbot's behavior to make it appear more natural and less mechanical. It includes customization options such as randomization percentage and reaction time. Here is an example in action. Next, we have Close Aim. When enabled, this feature overrides the aimbot's FOV, smoothness, and hitboxes when an enemy is close to you. You can customize the distance threshold and configure how the aimbot behaves once that threshold is reached. Here is an example. Next, we have FOV. This slider defines the size of the aimbot's field of view restriction. Next, we have Smoothness. This slider defines the movement smoothness that the aimbot uses to reach the target. Here is an example in action. Here is an example using humanization. Next, we have Hitboxes. This selection box allows you to choose which hitboxes will be targeted. You can select multiple hitboxes. Here is an example in action. You can configure different settings for each weapon by overriding them individually. Let me set up a configuration here. Here is an example in action. Now let's move on to the TriggerBot tab. This tab also features the same enabled, ignore knocked, and hold key settings with the same purpose as the previous tab. Here, we have the shoot key, which is the key used for shooting. Next, we have shooting delay. This slider defines the delay before shooting. Next, we have delay randomization. This slider defines the randomization percentage of the shooting delay. We also have weapon configuration here, where you can disable it globally and override only the weapons you choose. Here is an example of the TriggerBot in action. Now let's move on to the Visuals tab. The Enemy sub-tab also starts with the Enabled option. Next, we have Name. When enabled, it displays player names. It does not work on bots or NPCs. It includes several configuration options, such as position, color type, outline, and color. Next, we have Box. When enabled, it displays a box around the player. It also includes several configuration options, just like the previous feature. Next, we have Skeleton. When enabled, it displays the player's skeleton. It also includes several configuration options. The Dynamic Colors type changes colors depending on the player's state, such as whether they are visible, hidden, or knocked. Next, we have Platform. When enabled, it displays the platform the player is on. It does not work on bots or NPCs. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have Team ID. When enabled, it displays the player's team ID. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have Current Weapon. When enabled, it displays the weapon the player is holding. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have Kill Count. When enabled, it displays the player's kill count. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have Rank. When enabled, it displays the player's rank in ranked games. It does not work on bots or NPCs. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have Distance. When enabled, it displays the distance between you and the player. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have Snapline. When enabled, it displays a line at the bottom of the screen pointing to the player. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have Off-Screen Arrow. When enabled, it displays an arrow on the screen pointing to players that are not in your field of view. It also includes several configuration options. Here, we have Dynamic Colors, which replaces the color type from the features above and dynamically changes colors based on the player's state. Now let's move on to the Radar subtab. Here, we have the enabled master switch. Next, we have Circular Radar. When enabled, it turns the default square radar into a circular one. Next, we have Static Player. When enabled, it makes the vision lines static and not dynamically based on camera FOV. Next, we have clamp positions. When enabled, it keeps players who surpass the radar borders inside the boundaries. Next, we have no rotate. When enabled, the player in the center rotates dynamically instead of the radar itself. Next, we have ignore knocked. When enabled, knocked players will not be shown on the radar. Next, we have dynamic enemy color. When enabled, enemy colors change depending on whether they are visible, hidden, or knocked. Next, we have enemy distance. When enabled, it will display enemy distance on the radar. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have show and hide key. This hotkey is used to toggle the radar on and off. Here, we have the radar size slider. Next, we have the radar colors. And next, we have the dynamic colors. Now let's move on to the Spectators List sub-tab. Here, we have the enabled master switch. Next, we have hide teammates and hide bots. When enabled, teammates and bots will not be displayed. Next, we have show and hide key. This hotkey is used to toggle the Spectators List on and off. Next, we have the Spectators List colors. Now, let's move on to the World sub-tab. I'll enable all of these features and show an example of each one. First, let's take a look at Pickup. Here, we have several configuration options, such as color type, outline, distance, and loot rarity filtering. Let's test the rarity filter. You can also customize the color of each rarity. Next, we have chest. It also includes several configuration options. Here's the chest feature in action. Next, we have ammo box. It also includes several configuration options. Here's the ammo box feature in action. Next, we have vehicle. It also includes several configuration options. Here's the vehicle feature in action. Finally, we have healing. It also includes several configuration options. Here's the healing feature in action. You can also use a hotkey to toggle its visibility. Next, we have the distance threshold, which determines when it will be displayed. Now let's move on to the MISC tab. First, we have watermark. When enabled, it displays a watermark on the screen. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have keybinds. When enabled, it displays a list of active keybinds. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have crosshair. When enabled, it displays a crosshair in the center of the screen. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have draw cursor. When enabled, it displays a custom mouse cursor. It also includes several configuration options. Next, we have Visuals font. This option allows you to change the font used by the visual elements. Next, we have Menu font. This option allows you to change the font used by the menu. Next, we have Open and Close key. This hotkey is used to open and close the menu. Next, we have Unload key. This hotkey is used to unload the application. Next, we have the Unload. Clicking this button unloads the application. Now, let's move on to the last tab, Settings. There isn't much to cover here. This is where you can create and name configurations, as well as load, save, delete, and reset them. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this showcase. Feel free to share your feedback and suggestions. See you next time.